Welcome back to the Hilton Hotel just opposite Wembley Arena. We're now 24 hours away, thankfully, from the first UK fight night of the year. Josh Warrington back in action after 15 months out against his mandatory, well, what was supposed to be his mandatory Mauricio Lara. Of course, that belt has been relinquished. We saw a different Josh Warrington yesterday, not necessarily brimming with the confidence of old. I think a renewed man mentally. A difficult few months for him. No longer champion, now looking to become the challenger again for some big fights in the future, but he cannot overlook this Mexican on Saturday.
Absolutely not. Lara, if you haven't seen him, check him out. He's a handful. He's your typical Mexican, comes to fight. He's got the opportunity to change his life and be one of the front runners in the division. For me, I think Josh is just so happy to be back out again. And though he loves performing in front of his faithful Leeds crowd, I think we might see the best of Josh Warrington just because that pressure's off. He can stick to a game plan. You know, he doesn't have to get in there and try his best to perform for the crowd, but perform for his best for the career. So, you know, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to a good performance from Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a number of fights on the undercard that will all weigh in this afternoon. Hopey Price back in action after a little bit of bother trying to fix him an opponent, but that's obviously been the story of the last few months, isn't it? Late dropouts and opportunities that arise for fighters on the undercard. Johnny Phillips took his in-fight camp against Hopey Price, put on a good performance, came up short, and now he's back in an interesting contest as well against Ibn Nadim first up. That's over 6 3-minute rounds. Those two I think shortly getting ready backstage to weigh in. David Diamante is back out of quarantine, which is good. He will take us through proceedings this afternoon. Our colleagues at Sky Sports as well, just doing their previews. And looks like we're ready to go. And without further ado, hand you over to take it through the weigh-in this afternoon to our MC, Mr. David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the SSE Arena here in London, England, for the official weigh-in for Saturday night's great night of boxing action. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Betfred, Wow Hydrate, and JD Sports. All the action will be televised live around the world in over 200 countries, here in the UK on Sky Sports, and around the world on DAZN. It's a great night of fights, 6 fights in total, and at this time we're going to go ahead and bring the fighters up to the stage so they can face the scale and face each other. Our first contest that we're going to weigh in today, 6 rounds in the featherweight division. Making his way to the stage, please welcome 5-5 with 2 knockouts from Sandhurst, known as the Matador. Please welcome Johnny Phillips.
He did his best against Hopey Price to kind of create an environment of pressure. He didn't really have enough in terms of a skill set, an ability to do that against Price. He may, though, have a little bit more success.
123 3/4 pounds for Johnny Phillips.
It was 123 3/4 pounds.
And his opponent now making his way to the scale. His young professional record thus far perfect. 2 fights, 2 victories. He's fighting out of Keighley. Please welcome Ibrahim Ibn Nadim.
I think with Johnny Phillips, Chris, is he's not a journeyman. He said there yesterday he wants to win a title, any title. So, he's coming in here to win. He's going to come to fight. So should be a good one.
123 1/4 pounds for Ibn Nadim.
It was 123 1/4 for Ibn Nadim. It's going to be whether he can cope with the kind of pressure that we saw Hopey Price deal with so brilliantly against Stefan Nikolai, which is the last time we called a fight of his on the Quick Carroll undercard. He just took a little while to adapt to the pressure, and it was actually quite a close contest over 4 rounds.
It was, but I think that was down to him neglecting his advantages. He's got a nice long reach. He should have got behind the jab, but he was getting stuck in, which, don't get me wrong, I think in future fights it's going to make him exciting, but I think he should use his advantages a bit more.
Certainly
6 rounds, featherweights, Ibrahim Nadim, Johnny Phillips.
Yeah, certainly you'd give Johnny Phillips more chance in this than you would have against Hobie Price, and he's had a little bit more notice for it too, so fresher, more confident, happy to be back, and they will open proceedings on Facebook. I think it is at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. Remember, all the action starts 7 o'clock live on Sky Sports and DAZN. Following that, of course, it is the man that beats Johnny Phillips at Fight Camp, Hobie Price, Dave Caldwell's young protege, who's moving very nicely, 3-0 now, and they were looking to step him up against Hussein. That, of course, fell through, but I think that's a good one for later on this year.
Yeah, I think so. It's a perfect opponent. But Hobie Price, what a fighter. He really is improving all the time, looking more mature with each fight. There's so much to work with if you're Dave Caldwell. That great amateur fundamentals that he has and grounding is so good. And yeah, I think if he keeps working the way he is and improving the way he is, future's very bright for Hobie Price.
Well, a couple of fallouts, and then Daniel Mendoza answered the call. The two are backstage, ready to weigh in. I'll hand you back over to David.
Our weigh-in continues. Our next bout of the evening, 6 rounds in the featherweight division. Now making his way to the stage, presentando de Chichigalpa, Nicaragua. 11 wins, 11 losses, 4 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome El Travieso, Daniel Mendoza. Mendoza. £122.8 for Mendoza.
His best opponent to date, Angel Moreno, challenged Charlie Edwards for the flyweight title year before last, and wasn't quite quick enough to keep up with him
And
that
his
night.
opponent now making his way to the stage, the highly skilled and decorated southpaw, undefeated thus far, 3-0 with 1 knockout, fighting out of Leeds, Ivan Drago. Please welcome Hobie Price. Price.
I think we're seeing a young man that's developing at a good rate, Darren, 3-0 now, and really the thing that's going to, I think, change his game the most in the next 3 years.
£122.9 for Hobie Price.
£122.9. Getting that physical strength that you get as you go approach your mid-20s, and that's when you'll know whether he's going to be competitive at domestic and then international level.
Yeah, but I think, look, he's fending off, well, more than fending off his opponents with what he's got now as far as maturity is concerned. I was very similar to Hobie when I was 20 years old. I didn't have no hairs on my legs or nothing. And yeah, it's something that all of a sudden you wake up and you've got your man strength, and it makes an awful lot of difference. And with the skill that Hobie has, it will be a completely different fighter.
6 rounds, featherweights, Hobie Price, Daniel Mendoza.
Yeah, I think they will eventually move back towards Zahid Hussein, and they're talking about guys like Uriel Lopez, Mexican, who's been in with Matsumoto, Emmanuel Navarrete as well. Tests like that just to see where he is and let him develop physically over this year. But I think we'll have a good year for Hobie Price, and activity is going to be important for him.
Absolutely. You just want to be fighting all the time, minimum 6 fights a year. And I know it's hard in his current climate, but with Matchroom producing the shows they are, it's perfect for Hobie Price, because like I say, at least minimum 6 times out. You want to be active. That's how you get your timing, your range, your distance and everything. So I think for Hobie to be busy, which he would have been in the amateurs, is key for his career.
Absolutely. Handing back over now to David.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 10 rounds in the super lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage to weigh in, 11 victories against 3 defeats, fighting out of Birmingham. Please welcome Ishmael Ellis. Ellis. £138.9 for Ishmael Ellis.
Yeah, his first step up in December 2018, he was defeated on points, challenging for the Midlands area lightweight title against Kane Baker. An attempt to win the same belt following.
And his opponent now making his way to the stage. He's the fast-rising prospect fighting out of the Steel City. Undefeated thus far, 6 fights, 6 victories, 5 of them coming by way of knockout. From Sheffield, England, please welcome Dalton Thunder Smith.
The man whose decision to remove himself from the amateur code and turn over earlier about 18 months ago has been vindicated month on month with the global pandemic and the situation.
142.8 pounds for Dalton Smith.
142.8 pounds. As I was saying, the other Olympians that find themselves in that difficult position, he will now be at minimum 18 months ahead of them when they graduate from Tokyo, if of course that all goes ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I said it yesterday, for me, has all the ingredients to go all the way. Like, honestly, such a tremendous talent. Has everything. It really does have everything. And he's dedicated to the sport, which is so important as well. And every time Dalton Smith's on the bill, I'm extremely excited.
Yeah, just growing more and more, and this reputation as Matchroom's current hottest prospect.
Dalton Smith, Ishmael Ellis, 10 rounds, super lightweights.
And his first 10-rounder too, Darren, and I'm sure he'll be grateful for a few rounds if possible on Saturday night. And then I imagine that the Lee Appleyard fight will still be on the table for him if he wants to be active. And of course Appleyard will be ready, as providing his health is okay, and we wish him well. But that would be a good test for him.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the more rounds that Dalton's doing, the better it will suit him. You're not rushing as much. You can really pick your shots, take your time, stick to a game plan. And I think, the more rounds that Dalton Smith does, the better we'll see him. And how exciting is that? Because he's looked tremendous so far.
Absolutely has. Lee Wood and Rhys Mould will do battle for the vacant British featherweight title. An excellent battle not only between the fighters but the corners as well. Ben Davison and Sean O'Hagan. I think that will be the first time that they've met opposite each other. Two really good tactical minds. Sean O'Hagan, of course, so much success with Josh Warrington, and Ben Davison, we know all about his tactical credentials as well. Good to chat to him last night over dinner, wasn't it? He's a real insight. Real good insight.
Ben's brilliant. He lives and breathes this sport. So, it should be a good tactical battle.
Absolutely. Well, his man Lee Wood and O'Hagan's man Rhys Mould ready to weigh in. Hand you back over now to David.
Our next contest of the afternoon that we're going to weigh in, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the vacant British Featherweight Championship. Introducing up first to the stage, undefeated, 13 fights, 13 victories, 6 of them coming by way of knockout. He's fighting out of Doncaster, and he's the reigning English featherweight champion. Please welcome Rhys Mould. 125 3/4 pounds for Rhys Mould.
Became English champion, stopping Sean Davis in 4 rounds in the summer of 2019. Really good win for him, and I think that was the fight that proved his credentials at this level.
And his opponent now making his way to the stage. 23 victories against 2 defeats. He has 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Gedling, Nottingham. He's the former Commonwealth and WBO European champion. Please welcome Lethal Lee Wood.
And on balance, Lee Wood can be proud of the display he put on in the Golden Contract. Tough domestic opposition after tough domestic opposition. Big win over Davey Oliver-Joyce, and then came unstuck in a fabulous 10-rounder against Jazz Dickens at York Hall. The last time, I think, crowds
125 1/4 pounds for Lethal Lee Wood.
Spots on the weight and looks good at it too, Darren.
Yeah, he does. Great shape. And we were talking about it yesterday. That 9th round against Jazz Dickens, he was out on his feet, managed to stay up and survive the round and come back strong in the 10th round was incredible. So he's shown he's got heart, and that's something you don't know you've got until you've been put in that sort of situation.
Yeah, and I think, of course, there were question marks over his potential conditioning and down the stretch being a big man at this weight, and would that sort of take a bit out of his tank and his engine, but he showed the powers of recovery he has, and that he's still got something to offer in this weight division.
Of course he does. This is a brilliant fight.
12 rounds for the vacant British Featherweight Championship. Lethal Lee Wood and Rhys Mould.
Yeah, Reece Mold's a brilliant fight. It really is, against Sean Davis to win the English title. Looked very destructive.
Took him apart, didn't he?
Yeah, drops him in the first round. Ended up finishing him in the fourth with a beautiful overhand right. He can punch. He really can punch.
Yeah.
So I think their styles will gel in this fight. And with what's at stake, I think it makes for a great contest.
And of course, Lee said that they're slowly making some changes with Ben Davison, not just giving up ground a little bit too easily.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
he did against Shazza Dickens, because when he did land clean on Dickens, he hurt him in that fight.
Well, Ben was saying how he was surprised at how hard Lee Wood hits.
So yeah, very, very interesting contest, that one. Now it's a big step up for Zelfa Barrett, whose left hook got him out of jail against the excellent Eric Donovan in fight camp. He steps up against former world champion Kiko Martinez. The two are ready backstage to weigh in. We'll hand you back to David.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the chief support for Saturday night's big night of boxing action. 12 rounds in the super featherweight division. Now making his way to the stage, 41 victories, 9 defeats, 2 draws, and 29 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Alicante, Comunidad Valenciana, España. Here is the former IBF Super Bantamweight Champion of the World, Kiko La Sensación Martinez.
Well, a man who, with 52 fights under his belt in a 17-year career, his love for the sport still hasn't waned. Coming up another weight division now, really, just about how much he has left in the tank. He's probably still a solid European-level operator, Darren. It's no point pretending he is what he was, but he's still got a lot to offer, especially against
128 1/4 pounds for Kiko Martinez.
Looking good too.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, he's choosing to do this. He wants to fight, so there's obviously more in the tank. There's still the desire there. So it's going to be exciting to see what he's got left. If he's got plenty left, this is a brilliant fight, Chris.
Certainly is. And well, we caught up with Pat Barrett yesterday, confident in his son, knows that.
And his opponent now making his way to the stage, 24 victories, 1 defeat, 15 wins coming by way of knockout. He's the former Commonwealth and reigning IBF Intercontinental Super Featherweight Champion, fighting out of Manchester, England, Zelfa Brown Flash Barrett.
And of course, he got the win on paper, Darren, but he will have taken that almost as if as a loss, with a pinch of salt and lessons to be learned from it. And it sounds like he's a renewed man in his head. He's taken some key lessons away from that fight in September.
128 3/4 pounds for Zelfa Barrett.
Yeah, look, he's not driving himself mad. It wasn't perfect, but he'll learn a lot from that. He seems confident in the fact that, look, I didn't box great, I got the job done, I've learned from it, on to the next one. And there's an awful lot to like about Zelfa Barrett. He's got literally everything. He can move his feet, he's good on the front foot, quick hands, every punch in the book. So, you know, he's a work in progress, no doubt, but a lot to work with.
And he won't have to go looking for Kiko Martinez like he did with Eric
Zelfa
Donovan.
Barrett v. Kiko Martinez, 12 rounds, super featherweight, Saturday night.
So a step up in weight for Kiko Martinez, a step up in class for Zelfa Barrett. That's the chief support on Saturday night, the start of a big run of domestic and international fights across the world in the next few weeks. We're going to be at a few of them. We'll be at Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin. We'll of course be here next week for Josh Kelly and David Avanesian. Good to have Jordan Gill back on that card as well. Just nice to be back, really, isn't it? Nice to get out of the house.
It is. You ain't got any kids.
I know. Well, I'm grateful.
Do you know how many dirty nappies I've changed? Honestly. But yeah, it's good. You know, we love the sport, don't we? So to be busy, watching boxing again, talking boxing is fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I get the opportunity to wind you up constantly.
Yeah, it never ends, really.
It's brilliant.
I'm just used to it now. I'm on red alert all the time.
Always.
Early days, it sort of took me by surprise, but these days I just sort of, as soon as I walk out of my hotel room, I switch it on and I go, right. I'm like a gazelle when I know the lion's close. Yeah, always good to be around you, mate, on Fight Week. Enjoy calling this with you. So David Diamante getting us ready. He'll obviously be emceeing on Saturday night, live from the SSE Wembley Arena. Last punch that was thrown there, Anthony Joshua, right hand that Kubrat Pulev just never recovered from. That was a great end to a busy few months, wasn't it?
It was brilliant, wasn't it? It was absolutely packed in here, and there was a real buzz about that one, which there is this one. And it's good to get going again, and plenty of brilliant shows to see.
Absolutely. Well, it's time for the main event. Josh Warrington back in action after 15 months out against Mauricio Lara. The two are ready to weigh in. Let's hand you back over to David.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the main event for Saturday night's big night of boxing action. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. It'll be live from the SSE Arena, Wembley, here in London, England, and filmed and televised all around the world on Sky Sports and DAZN. Sponsored by Betfred, Wow Hydrate, and JD Sports. It'll be 12 rounds of boxing scheduled in the featherweight division. Introducing up first to the stage, his professional record, 21 victories against 2 defeats. He has 14 wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de San Felipe de Jesus, Ciudad de Mexico. Please welcome Mauricio Bronco Lara. Lara. $125 bang on for Mauricio Lara. 125 bang on.
Very good fighter, Lara. You know, don't look at his record and judge him on that. A couple of defeats, he can really fight. Your typical Mexican style, massive heart, and he's got the opportunity to change his life, Chris. So I expect him to leave everything in the ring.
And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, a perfect one. 30 fights, 30 victories, 7 of them coming by way of knockout. He is the first and only world boxing champion fighting out of and proudly representing his home of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Please welcome the former IBF featherweight champion of the world, Josh the Leeds Warrior Warrington. Warrington.
Well, he's used to the big crowds. Didn't get the response he wanted there. I think that's just a sign of the times more than anything else. We're all a bit fatigued. Got that lockdown fatigue.
Yay.
Josh Warrington looking in great shape as ever. Went to see him
125 and 1/2 pounds for Josh, the Leeds Warrior Warrington.
Awesome to be around Josh Warrington, and what a journey he's been on, having to relinquish that title, but a funny feeling that we may see him pick up another strap or two in the next couple of years, Darren, with the momentum, the desire he's got. And he said he's appreciated so much in this last year or so that he's been out, just how much he loves the sport of boxing, and maybe it'll be good for him in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. When you're already a former world champion, to go on and have that desire to win another one, you've got to have love for the sport, and he does. You're just speaking to him off camera. He lives and breathes this sport, so yeah, I expect to see Josh Warrington around.
Josh Warrington, Mauricio Lara, 12 rounds, featherweights.
Well, he is unbeaten, Josh Warrington, but by no means a kind of perfect record. He struggled against Kiko Martinez. It was a difficult and messy win over Kid Galahad. There's no guarantee that he makes easy work of Mauricio Lara, but he does go into this as a big favourite.
Yeah, look, for me, this fight will be fireworks early on. I really do, but I just feel the class of Josh Warrington will come out around the 6th halfway stage, and I think he wins this one on points because Lara is extremely tough, but I feel he'll take over in the second half. But trust me, the beginning part of this fight is going to be entertaining.
Yeah, well, tomorrow we'll have a full preview on Matchroom Boxing social media with Frank Smith, who'll talk to us about the DAZN global expansion that's happening over the next few months and is already in motion. We'll be talking to Maxie Hughes as well, and we'll have Ben Davison on to talk to us all about plans for the next few months, him and his fighters, and of course Lee Woods and Reece Mould later tomorrow night. So that is all to come. Tomorrow night? Tomorrow afternoon, is it 1 o'clock? Matchroom Boxing social media. We'll look forward to seeing you then, and take care, guys. Have a good afternoon.